Hello everyone! Today we're going to be talking about the reactions I get to my natural hair in real life. So this video is inspired by this comment by Coconut2227. Hey girly, shout out to you for this fun video idea. If you're new here, hi, I'm Richie So Pleases. This is a faceless video, but most of the clips and photos you see on screen are of my natural hair. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. As usual, timestamps are available for this video. So to add some structure in this video, I'm going to be alternating between some of the more common occurrences / actions that I experience, such as hair touching, compliments, questions, staring, etc. And then some really interesting stories, which I have appropriately named the grab and drag, the attempted humbling, and the job offer. These are experiences that stand out in my memory, either positively or negatively, that I thought would be fun to share. This video is in no way saying that every time I go out I get some kind of reaction to my hair, because that's not the case at all. Also, throughout my hair journey until about 2 years ago maybe, or maybe even sooner than that, I've really focused on protective styling, so you couldn't even really see my hair on most occasions as it was just in a bun, so there was nothing to basically react to. On the days that I do wear it out though, and lately that I've been wearing my mini twists in cute styles, I have had more and more interesting encounters. So anyway, let's get started. We're going to start with an experience story called the grab and drag. So let's start by setting the scene. About 6 weeks ago, it was my day off and I was on my pretty girl walk through the town centre, just soaking up the rare sunshine. I had my mini twists up in a half up, half down hairstyle that I'll put on the screen now, and I was making my way to the exit of one of our big clothing shops in my town. I was literally just about to get on the escalator when I faintly heard someone saying like, hello, excuse me, somewhere underneath the sound of my femininity playlist. So I turn around and I see a West African auntie holding a shirt that I assume she wanted to purchase. And before I go on, okay guys, I should mention that this auntie was new to the UK. She had a strong accent, and she even mentioned later on that, you know, she hadn't been here very long. So I'm asking you to cut her some slack in advance. So once she has my attention, she just was like, oh wow, I just had to stop you because of your hair. It's so beautiful. Who does your hair, please? And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I do it. And then she starts to touch it. So I'll give my opinion on hair touching a little later during that segment of the video. In this auntie's case, I think you can just chalk it down to sort of like cultural differences. And I can tell she was just curious. So then she was like, oh, can you tell me what brand of hair you use? And I was like, oh no, this is my real hair. And then she asked me twice more, like, this is your hair to confirm. And I'm like, yes, it's my real hair. Then she got this look on her face, which basically made her look like she just hit the jackpot. Then she suddenly started to look a bit conflicted, like she didn't know what to do. So she looked at me apologetically and was like, you need to wait for me, please. I need to talk to you. I must talk to you. Then she said something that honestly I didn't expect to hear. This auntie said, and I quote, I need you in my life. At this point, I was confuzzled. But it was like 2 seconds later, I didn't even have time to kind of respond before she grabbed me by my wrist and started to pull me towards the checkout area. When I say I was too stunned to speak, when I say my mind was discombobulated, as she was walking, she was pulling my wrist, explaining that she needed to pay for this top, but she also needed to talk to me. And it felt like it was just going on for ages because we were so far from the checkout. As she was pulling me through the shop by the wrist like a little girl, I honestly couldn't help but just laugh at the hilarity of the situation. I know at this point most people would be, thinking like, what the hell? But honestly, I just found it funny and quite endearing. As a Nigerian who's visited Nigeria many times and been around a lot of older Nigerian relatives, this honestly wasn't that strange of a scene. But what I couldn't believe was that I was experiencing this at my big age. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I know I look young for my age. I know that. I think she might have thought that I was some small girl. She didn't know that I'm a big woman. I can even be somebody's mother. Wow. Seriously though, I just know that it made me smile and laugh and just think that I couldn't wait to go home and tell my husband and mum about the whole situation. So anyway, we got to the checkout, and that's when I can see that this auntie was actually holding up the whole queue, because when she initially called out to me, she was actually on their way back from exchanging the size of the shirt that she was holding. So the lady that was checking her out looked super bored of waiting for her. So anyway, she was finishing up paying for her items, and I was literally just standing there like a part sold separately, like bread with no purpose. I had no idea what to do, so I just kind of planted myself out of the way of the people. Once she was done, which didn't take very long, she came over to me and was explaining the situation about the shirt, which I already understood, and basically apologized for keeping me waiting. So our conversation resumed, and she was talking about how she is new to the UK and she hasn't been able to find anyone to do her two little daughters' hair properly, and said that, she's had people do their hair before, but it wasn't really what she was looking for. And she even showed me pictures of them, and can I just say, they were two adorable little chocolate drops. They were so cute. As the conversation went on for about 15-20 minutes, I actually found that I really enjoyed speaking with her. We talked about how she can build a little mini twist regimen for her daughters, and we even exchanged WhatsApp numbers at the end as well. I'm not saying I'd opt into being grabbed by the wrist again in the future. However, I'll say that it was very much a wholesome exchange. On that note, let's talk about hair touching. So I do get people coming up to me and asking questions that usually lead to them touching my hair. There are a few groups of people who do this, I think, more often than others, particularly older Black women and also white women as well, funny enough. I know a lot of people don't like this, but for me personally, I don't mind. I don't mind people touching my hair or admiring it in that particular way. And in my experience, everyone who's done it so far has had really good intentions, and the hair touching is usually accompanied by lots of nice compliments. And, I actually really like being celebrated. Most people ask me before reaching out, but some will literally just reach out for it and touch it in excitement. Again, I don't mind at all because I can feel that they have good energy, so it's all good. This happened to be the most in Japan. I had a lot of older Japanese people specifically asking me if my hair was real and if they could touch it. They would always have this face of pure amazement when they felt the texture, and I found it so cute because obviously my hair was a lot different to theirs. So let's move on to a story that actually did take place in Japan, called the attempted humbling. This one, some of this isn't very positive, and I'll tell you that much up front. So this story takes place in Tokyo when I was living in a cross-cultural share house with a mixture of 10 other people, half of which were Japanese and the other half were from various countries around the world. I lived in a big bedroom with a roommate, which is important for this story. So anyway, on this particular day, it was wash day and I was transitioning from loose hair to mini twists. So as you can imagine, it was a long day. At some point when I was halfway done, I got hungry and I decided to go downstairs to the common kitchen/dining area. And in the living area, there were two people there watching TV. There was my roommate, who was a Japanese girl around my age, and then there's this other Japanese woman who also lived with us, who was a little bit older. Now, I should say up front that this other Japanese lady who wasn't my roommate, she didn't get along with most people in the house. Everyone got along with her, but it was kind of because, those people have to make a lot of effort to get along with. Otherwise, it's easy to kind of argue with them. So you kind of end up tiptoeing around them. Like, she was kind of like this kind of person, a little bit prickly. And for added context, both my roommate and this lady both have dyed brown hair. The mean lady's hair was frankly overprocessed and looked really dry, while my roommate had healthy hair with a brown that was dyed brown with a short haircut. So back to that day, I came downstairs, and as I was in the middle of doing my hair, I was looking a bit different with my mini twist at the back and an afro puff at the top of my head. So I say hi to the two of them and just go about getting some food together for myself. As I'm doing this, I see the prickly lady, or the mean lady, kind of looking at me with a look that I can only really describe as mild disgust. And then she suddenly says, in a really strange tone, "Why don't you just straighten your hair?" At which point I look left and right, because what a strange thing to say. I distinctly remember leaning against the stove and facing her and my roommate. and taking like a large exhale before answering, because today I got time. Because now I'm not a very confrontational person with strangers or those that aren't close to me, so I wasn't really trying to start anything. Plus I already knew that she was not that nice, so there was no point escalating anything. I remember saying something like this in a calm and kind tone, kind of like when a teacher hears something bad and they try to like educate a student on what they've said. So I said, well, because my curly hair is a part of my identity. I like wearing my hair how it is naturally, and I think it's very pretty. Hey guys, editing me here. I forgot to mention that I also said that I love my hair because it's part of my pride as a black person. Now, those sentences might sound a bit unnatural. It's because this whole conversation is basically taking place in Japanese. So after I told her that, she kind of just looked at the puff at the top of my head again with more disgust and was like, oh, okay. And she didn't say anything more. And I remember laughing to myself as I went upstairs thinking like, what a strange encounter. The thing about some negative people is that they try to also project their own negative thoughts or feelings onto other people. But the thing is, if you don't share the same or similar negative views on whatever they're trying to criticize, be it like on your body or something about you as a person or something you like, if you don't share those negative views, they can't make you feel embarrassed or sad about it because those emotions simply don't exist in your body. Like, did she really think she could make me feel bad about my hair? Impossible, babe. I love my hair. Little did I know that wasn't the end of the story. The following weekend, I was just chilling in my room trying to recover from work when my roommate came in with this new, beautiful jet black hair. I honestly gasped because it was so pretty. It was given thick, black, and healthy. As I mentioned before, as long as I'd known her, her hair had always been brown. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like your hair looks so pretty. And I remember she looked so shy and was like, really, does it suit me? I was like, what? Of course it does. You look so pretty. Like, what an interesting question, right? It reminds me so much of the dilemmas in the natural hair community. So many people question whether the hair that grows out of their head suits them or not. So I found it was so funny coming from someone who was like, non-black this time. If you're not aware, most, if not basically all Japanese people have naturally black hair. However, I would say that at least 50% of the adults who are not at job searching age have hair that is dyed, usually brown. So a lot of Japanese people will keep their hair black while they're job hunting because that makes them appear as like more serious candidates. But then after that period, when they start working and stuff, they usually dye their hair. So children and people of job searching age will have like black hair, and then mostly like university students and then people after job searching age will also have dyed hair. So at least 50% or more basically. So after I said like, of course your hair suits you, you look so pretty, I decided to ask like, what made you dye your hair? And that's when I heard something shocking. She actually said, when that mean lady asked you why you had curly hair and you said it was part of your identity as a black person? Well, that really inspired me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It actually made me emotional. Like, I didn't think that what I'd said had any impact on anyone. I was just trying to reply to the mean lady with grace, basically, and honesty. And following that comment that my roommate made, we ended up having a long conversation about, having pride in one's identity, feeling like maybe you're not so unique if you stick to your ethnic features, feeling like you have to dye your hair or change something about you to feel unique or different. And it was just a really beautiful experience, and it really helped me and my roommate get closer. I couldn't believe it because I knew that these were some problems that, black people do face, especially when it comes to hair. But I didn't realize that it's not a uniquely black, quote unquote, problem. It's kind of like a mindset that can belong to anybody. And it's funny being someone looking from the outside in. When I look at Japanese people with brown hair, I think because of their skin tone, it can be quite difficult to find the right brown. And to me, as an outsider looking in, sometimes the hair color can look a little bit separate from them. And I personally think that the black looks best most of the time. Most of the time, the black is what really pops. And this is a situation that I will never forget. It's crazy how you can inspire other people with your own self-love. On that note, let's move on to compliments and questions. So whenever I wear my hair out and loose, I usually get at least one compliment on the length or thickness every time I go out. But like I said earlier on in the video, I don't do this often at all. So the kind of compliments I get are just like, oh, your hair is so long, like the usual, usually from other black people. Or then from people that aren't black, I get comments like, oh, your hair is so gorgeous or beautiful. And it's usually accompanied by something like, oh, I wish my hair had that much volume. Now that I have my hair in twists, I get a lot of questions and compliments. So usually I get compliments every time I go out. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But when it comes to the questions, I usually have an older black woman approach me about my hair probably once in every 3 times I go out. And it even happened to me yesterday while I was riding the bus. The lady behind me tapped me on the shoulder, and the conversation usually starts something like, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I really like your hair. What kind of hair do you use for this style? So yeah, basically all the older black women that have approached me to ask about my mini twists have initially assumed that I'm using some kind of braiding hair. Then I'll let them know that it's real, and then they'll be really shocked. After that, they'll want to know who does my hair. Of course, it's me. And then they'll want to know if I can do theirs or their children's hair, at which point I will politely decline and refer them to my YouTube channel for hair tips. But it's so funny because as I show them the page and explain that they can learn all about hair care themselves, I can see the light slowly disappearing from their eyes. There's a look of so is that a no? Or so are you going to do my hair or nah? It's so funny. I'm like, come on guys, I'm trying to teach you how to fish. I also have had quite a few compliments from non-black children. One of my jobs is in retail, and I've had quite a few come up to me and say that they like my hair. I've even had one little girl say that my hair looked like a princess, which was the cutest thing. One thing to mention about the compliments I get from both black people and non-black people is that they're usually related. I think what draws them in most is the styling of my hair rather than the length specifically. So I think it's because other communities don't tend to have as much of a fixation on length as our community does. I guess it's because it's more rare to see longer natural hair in our community. I say all this to say that I personally don't think that natural hair has to be long to be complimented. I believe that you'll have, and I have experienced it myself, a lot of positive experiences with strangers when you put effort into the styling and sort of accessorization of your hair. So for all the people out there that think that their hair won't be considered nice or pretty until it gets a certain length, please don't think that it's not true at all. Hair is beautiful at every length. For example, I noticed that I get most of my compliments when I style my hair with accessories, whether these are updos or some sort of style that actually shows the length. I don't show it as much on YouTube like I should, but I'm actually the queen of accessories. I'm actually the queen of cute and unique accessories. I must introduce you guys to my arsenal. I have about 30 plus different items that I put in my hair. 1 or 2 at a time, but I'll show you at some point. But yeah, if you want to step up your look, I really recommend accessories. AliExpress has some really cute, unique, and affordable ones. The job offer. This is a story that I've told before on my channel, but I will tell it again briefly here and leave the link to the full story in the description box below. So this story takes place in Japan once again, but this was when I was living in a small town in the south rather than Tokyo. At the time, I was attending a Japanese language school and living my best life. So one day I went to school as usual, and during my morning break, I believe, my teacher pulled me into the teacher's lounge where I found a man that I had never seen before. So my teacher introduced us and basically explained that this man saw me as he was driving somewhere this morning and basically followed me into school and was kind enough to wait until I was on break to talk to me. It turns out that this gentleman was a famous hairstylist with a very successful salon, and he was really interested in understanding how I do my hair. And this man was really nice, and he asked me so many questions about how I did my hair, how often, how I treat it, how I did my twists. And at the end of the conversation, this man actually offered me a paid job at his salon. However, my teacher interrupted and let him know that because of my visa or whatever, which was a visitor's visa, I couldn't earn money. So basically, the job offer turned into that of an internship about 5 seconds later, at which point I lost a lot of interest. A week later, one of his employees actually came to pick me up and take me to the salon. If you want to know what transpired there, you'll have to watch the whole video, which I will link in the description box below. What I learned from that whole experience though was that I think we're somewhat desensitized to just how amazing our hair is sometimes. I know that there are some people that are under the impression that our hair is undesirable, which honestly I don't understand at all because it's so versatile. There's so many things we can do. Basically any look under the sun I feel like I can achieve. And I look in the mirror and I fall in love with my hair every day. And honestly, I wish that feeling on everyone. So what kind of reactions have you had to your natural hair in real life? And if not hair, do you have any other unique features that grab attention? If so, let us know any interesting reactions or interactions that you've had in the comments below. I try and read and reply to all of them. So now that we finished the video, I have some great news. The construction work started on our house today, which means that it won't be long until my online store is open again. Thank you so much for your patience in terms of the hair butters. They will be with you soon, and I cannot wait to provide those for you. I'll also be hearing on if I got into university pretty soon, so please guys wish me luck and please pray for me. I now have an Amazon wish list as well, so if you feel like you'd like to buy me some hair products / hair tools, please see the link in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!